All right, my name is Jim Devers. I'm from Certified RV. Just a little about my background. I've got roughly 36 years in the RV industry, all service. Never built a thing in my life, but I rebuilt a lot of it. I've worked on the Luxe since they come into play. Prior to that, I have worked on the Augusta, so I know a lot of your products. I am RVI Master Certified, so I can back up most of what I say. Today we're going to talk about maintenance. The big thing on coaches, especially the coaches, the Luxe, there's a lot more paint involved in them, so the sealing of them is a lot more critical. You want to go with, like on the outside on your moldings and stuff like that, you want to go with a good quality silicone. Most of your silicone you want to use are going to be clear because your color goes right over your moldings and everything. If you pay $4 or $5 for a tube of silicone, almost guarantee you it's going to crack, peel, or it's going to turn yellow. You need to be somewhere in the $8 to $10 to $15 for a tube of clear silicone. We use a stuff by Dow. It's called Dowsel 700, and it works really well. And we get it multiple colors. Anything like at the shop, anything that's a painted surface, you know, we do clear over it. If there's a gap or something that's got to be filled, what we will do is we will take and we'll fill that gap in with like what we use a stuff called it's like putty, but it's VSL, and we'll pack that in there and then we'll clear over the top of that so the colors matches. There is times where we'll take and use paintable silicone if there's a big gap, and then paint, touch it up and then clear over that. Sidewall seals, cap seals, I want to say you probably should check that about every 90 days. If you're in where it's hot, probably every 60 days. We crawl up on the ladder and we get up on the roof. The Bright Tech material that's on your roof, we use a product called Dicor. Anything the Bright Tech touches should have Dicor on it. Now, some coaches had the rubber or Bright Tech that went over the sides, and for that, they have a Dicor that is non-sag. So the stuff that's on the roof, if it lays flat, it's called self-level, and it will feather out, flatten out. The non-sag will not. So if you make a mess with this, it's going to look like you made a mess. But this will make you look good.
The non-sag, the one right there, that one, is that the one you use on the side?
Yes, yeah, the non-sag. So that way you put a nice smooth bead that stays nice and smooth. If you use the self-level on there, it's going to look good for about 15 minutes, and it's all going to be running down the side of your coach. Yep.
What do you recommend cleaning the roof with?
You know, for years, if you're going to get, I clean mine once a year, and I get up there. Normally, the nice thing about that is what's up there now is Dicor. So I'll just use like a pre-cleaner, almost like mineral spirits or something like that, and let it dry out or something that'll flash, and then go over it with that. You don't have to get real, you don't want to be going over like twigs or leaves or anything like that. But for the most part, just make sure it's dry. We covered the front, back, the caps. Okay, the other thing, most of you in here, if not a good percentage of you, have Truma water heaters. There's the calcification tablets. After so many gallons of water through the Truma, it will prompt you to do it. It's still a good thing to do once a year. Yeah, you can buy them through Truma online.
For those of those older units that don't have the control unit inside.
No, just got the control on the outside.
How do you use that?
What you'll have to do There is a procedure for that, but I did not study up on that. But there is a procedure to do it. Most of the, a lot of we've actually converted probably 4 or 5 of them to ones with switches now. And once you convert, of course, then you can just turn the switch to that.
Is that just a switch yet, or?
No, you got to change the switch and the board, and then it gives you the controls on the inside. And the nice thing about the Ambition and the Luxe is it's not real hard to get from a place where you can actually have it operational and down to it. And then also Truma has a heating element for some of you, electric heating element. So if you're going to be in a real cold weather, that will keep the temperature up. Another thing you should probably check annually, your CO and smoke detectors and stuff like that. Hit them, test them, make sure they're working. For you that have toy haulers, stable, once a year, dump a can of stable in it, in the fuel. For like wheel maintenance and stuff like that, most of them have center casts, but basically I always tell customers, check the inside and outside of the tire. Anything comes off the wheel, it ends up on the tire or on the wheel. If it's wet, something's happened. It needs to be taken in somewhere and checked out. I've seen where the cotter pin that goes through has made grooves in these and caused these to crack. It was kind of normal there for a while. We were seeing them, but everything that is going to be out here on these rigs is going to be packed bearings. There is some of them that had what they call a never lube, and what a never lube was a double sealed bearing that was put together. And at that point on that one, you just jack it up. As long as you got 3/8 of play in it, you're good to go. Everything else that has regular wheel bearings in it, every 5,000 or annually, should be checked. And when they have the wheels off, they can look down into the caliper and check your brake pads and make sure that you have plenty of pad left. One thing you want to look for is if a caliper is hanging up, a lot of times one pad will be almost gone and the other pad will have all kinds of pad on it. So that's another inspection that needs to be done. The other thing annually is check brake lines and make sure you don't have any cracking or seeping in them. And in checking that, also check the reservoir in the front beside the generator to make sure that you have brake fluid in there in your hydraulic pumps. Another area to check is, and you really can't check this until you have the trailer on your truck and all the jacks are retracted. And that is your hydraulic pump for your leveling system. You want to be 1 inch below the fill. If you get any closer than 1 inch, when that thing goes in and out, it's going to foam up and you're going to end up with a wet spot all over your batteries, or it'll come out of there and it'll end up making you think you got a front jack leaking. But the way we always tell them, is it in the pad or outside the pad? If it's in the pad, it's a jack. If it's outside the pad, you overfilled it.
Question?
Yes.
Because I've not actually seen the brake actuator yet, is there like a level mark on there?
When you take the cap off, you're going to see it. There's a shoulder on that the cap's on. You want it at the bottom of that shoulder. They don't actually have a mark that says you can't see nothing from the outside that gives you a level. It ain't like the one in your car where you can actually see the level. You got to take that cap off. And I usually tell a customer, if you can go to your first joint, you should be able to touch fluid.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be right at the bottom of it.
Okay.
It don't hold a lot.
All right.
And another thing you should check every 6 months or annually is pull the breakaway switch, make sure you hear the pump come on. Now, when your pump comes on, it should run for about 15 to 20 seconds. After 20 seconds, that pump motor should change. It should go, get a lot more pronounced. That means the fluid has gotten to where it's got to go. If you hear it, it comes up and it stays up high and then it starts going up and down, there's air in the system somewhere. So that was always a test we do. Pull it, 20 seconds. If you don't hear it hunker down, then something's wrong. Real easy test, especially if you're in the mountains and you're fixing to take off going up or down them. Let's see. Other things, of course, the usual. A lot of you do this automatically before you take off. Checking like the turn signals and lights and stuff like that. Make sure everything's working. A lot of people don't realize if you take your 7-way plug that's on your trailer, and you know where the boss is on the top where you push it in. If you take a 15 amp fuse, a regular automotive fuse, and stick that in them top two, all your clearance lights will magically come on. And you can check them that way. And it's also good if you're in a big campground and it's at night, you know how to get back. You look for the one with all the lights on. It's a funny story, but that really happened. The tire monitors, same thing, make sure they are operational. Most of them now have bands that are in the wheel. There is some of the older ones that still had the screw-on caps. We've actually installed some of those screw-on caps.
Have they got the repeater situation kind of figured out where they need to go?
It's funny you said that. This morning I spent 2 hours with a TST engineer and another engineer from another trade. I didn't even realize what it was. And we were messing around with them because I handle service. So when tech calls come in and stuff, I field about 95% of them. And I've asked them, I said, why are we dropping tires and stuff like that? And what we've discovered is the 2 repeaters, we put one in the front compartment beside the generator, and now they're adding one out to the pin box. I didn't realize until today that they don't talk to each other. I thought because they're in the same system, they talk to each other. They don't. So what we're doing now is they're going to be in the pass-through bay on the backside because it's easy to get 12 volts back there. When we did that, we never lost a signal.
So like on mine, when mine's on the pin box right now, when I go to get it, and y'all can just put it.
It will be on the side, and everything that's in my shop and everything that comes in my shop until we get them all is going to be moved.
So 2 inside the storage bay.
Yeah, there'll be, like I said, when you open your pass-through where your switches are, there's going to be a repeater right there beside it.
Okay.
Jim, when did the Luxe start putting OEM TST on?
I'm sorry?
TST is now.
TST? Probably, I think when they went to Lion's Head about 6-7 months ago.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So Jim, if we have a repeater on the hitch in the front, that means we have a second one in the back, and so one on the squat.
Pretty much.
We should have them move.
Yeah, everything that comes in the shop, we're moving. And, the customers, like I said, this literally just happened today. So it's going to take me a little bit. But yeah, by the time it's all said and done, everything's going to be moved to the sides.
And then 2 repeaters, do they have to be hooked together? They do work together?
No, they just send signal up each side. Because what we were confused with, and it really wasn't an argument, but what my disagreement with them is I thought it was something to do with the Furrion cameras. Because even though they get a signal, they're still wireless that goes to the monitor. And he proved me wrong today. It had nothing to do with that. And we turned everything, I had a new toy hauler, a new 5th wheel, plus I had 3 customers in there. And we tried every scenario that come around, trying to figure out with everything on, because they were blaming it on RF and everything else. But once we got right down to it, it's just the fact that the trailers, even though like on semis, there isn't a lot of stuff to interfere with a semi. Well, with a coach, there was a lot of stuff, we realized. So when we put them, like I said, put them in that pass-through on that back side, we never lost a signal, not one time, never dropped a wheel. So that's what we're going to do with all of them.
Okay.
And they really liked me on the line today when I went over and told Pete, and Pete told them they got to change everything up online.
So now they're going to have to change one coming back in.
Yeah. Well, but not only that, but now I see everything coming in out of the gate. So I'm going to tell Mark when he comes in tomorrow, I want every one of them checked because I don't want to get a phone call that, especially if we know we can avoid it now.
Mine's absolutely on the pin box.
Yeah. Yeah, the one on the pin box will go to one side and the one in the compartment will just go to the other one. And I ordered 77 repeaters because the factory was taking them out of a kit because they only come with 1 repeater. So after the TNT guy left today, he told me that he would set me up, so I'll have plenty of them for the ones that only have one. Yep. Anybody having any problems pairing up the Furrion to cameras and stuff like that?
I haven't paired yet.
Okay, I was gonna say, because we found a little trick to that is we take and we'll carry, we got a little battery pack we plug in, and we walk over and get within a couple feet of it and pair it. It makes it a whole lot easier than trying to pair it from the truck. It pairs in seconds instead of being in the front and waiting and waiting and waiting.
When we got our Ambition, they told us that they were no longer installing backup cameras. So we don't have one. Can you get one?
Yep. Yes, ma'am. Because what we would do in a situation like yours is it would tie into the marker lights. So when you turn your park lights on, it would energize the camera, and then it would have to pair it to it. And then we could even add side cameras to your coach.
And about how much money are you talking about?
The camera system is just under 1,000, and then you're probably going to have probably 3 or 4 hours in all of it, getting it paired up. Because we literally now, when we pair them up, we run it down the road and make sure it stays paired, because we work on so many of them now, and a customer will get down the road and all of a sudden he's calling me, I lost a wheel again, or I lost a signal of the wheel. So now, when Mark gets in it, we're running down the road with him, make sure that it stays paired and stuff like that. But the TST was the only thing that was kind of, there's a little bit of the finger pointing going on, and so I ended up, mediating it and figuring out what it was.
And about
Can you
how
add
long
any
a time?
cameras to the Furrion system? Oh, I apologize.
No, I'm sorry?
About how long of a time would it be before you could schedule to do something like that?
Right now, unfortunately, I am into October, the end of October right now, unfortunately. When we moved into our new building, we run into some issues that the building wasn't ready, so we were spending half our time getting the building ready and half our time working on coaches. So that ended up, that's why some customers got moved around, and Pete took some of them and stuff like that, because I couldn't get out what I had out. So by October, November, I should have some more help. The building is bigger. The way we're doing things is going to be a lot cleaner now, a lot nicer, a lot faster. I added another person to warranty. I added another person to parts. When we opened this 2 years ago, I had no idea the volume and stuff like that we would be doing. So, now I've got the data. So, we added 2 people, and I've got enough room now I can add 2 more. So we're going to, like I said, we're seeing how it goes, and if we can keep up with everything now and everything keep going, things will be a lot faster. We'll be able to work on a lot more coaches.
Do you have any springs for dometic awnings?
Yeah. You mean the ones you can't get? Yeah. It was ironic when when the factory goes through a phase with inventory where they take and blow stuff out. Well, they rented all these awnings, and they had a guy that come in and bought them for almost next to nothing. And I went and asked that guy, I said, how much you want for all them motors in there? Because I know he was just going to trash them out anyway. So yeah, I've got some motors.
A spring.
Yeah. Yep.
I have a question or a comment. Wouldn't it be better to put the sensors externally instead of internally?
Don't need to be.
Not anymore, now that you're moving the repeaters.
Right.
We didn't have that, and we had to go buy the sensors to put them externally. We've had no problem since.
The external sensors, you're right. I haven't had any problem with externals either.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, with the OEM, pretty much all OEMs are going to them now. Now the ones that's on the outside are considered aftermarket.
Right.
Because the other thing I brought up that I was wanting is it would be nice, and I was talking to TNT today about getting one we could put on the spare. So we knew that because it reads every 5 minutes. So that way you at least know if your spare was to go down, you would know it instead of when you needed it and didn't have it.
Right.
So they're working on that too. But yeah, the external sensors I haven't had any trouble with.
Yeah, they're fabulous. It's the internal ones that are at the battery, like you said, go out, you can't get to it without actually taking the tire off.
Yep. But they claim that the battery in that is supposed to be good for 10 years. So, and like I said, I haven't, the problems I've had have been dropping wheels. It ain't been so much that, ones went dead on me yet. So I don't have any data on that at this point. See other maintenance wise, air in the tires, a big thing.
What do you recommend put on the slide?
Just flat out as far as the seals and so forth. The bottom, 303 is okay. I always I just tell customers, keep the seals clean. Anything I put on, I wipe back off. I don't want,
So even your slide rods are driven in and out?
the ones on the bottom. See, the only thing you gotta be careful with them is you put grease on them and stuff, it worked great, but then, it end up collecting dust and dirt and stuff like that.
No silicone, just straight silicone?
The silicone is okay. We use something a little, they have this, comes in a green can. It's PFF or PFT that has Teflon in it. Works really well. I discovered it back when we did a lot of Swintech slide out stuff. It really works well and it stays on and it's not real heavy. And it really stopped squeaks and did quite a bit.
You just don't want it to collect dirt?
No, we don't want to collect dirt. And it has Teflon. It's in a green can. It's PFF, I think it's called. Yeah, but it works really well. Yeah.
Do you have any recommendation for the bedroom slide? Anything to do to that, or is there any maintenance required for that, the bedroom?
The
window?
cable slide, the biggest thing is just make sure nothing gets behind it. I see so much stuff come in that it busted a cable, check your alignment, alignment's good, guarantee you something got behind it.
When you say behind it, you mean as a.
When the room's in, something fell behind it and the room come out and caught it. Because like I said, on a cable slide, if there's something over here and it hits, it's still going to keep trying to push this side out. And it will pull a cable off of a pulley. And once that happens, that cable's going to break.
How about awnings? You going out's not noisy, but coming in sounds like a cat's coming.
That's what ours does.
I've sprayed all kinds of stuff on it.
Yep, but have you sprayed WD-40 on the shaft or the strut?
I don't think so. I just hit all the joints.
Yep, most of the time it's that strut. We'll spray WD-40 on a rag and wipe on it, run that awning out a couple times, that noise mysteriously goes away.
Just on the strut.
Yeah, it's from the strut. Because I'm the same way. We had a guy come out and the motor's covered with oil. I'm like, what, and then obviously it ain't coming from there. So then we start, like you spraying all the joints, just for, we sprayed the shaft, ran it out, and just noise went away. Yes?
On one line, about halftime when you come in, it'll start, and I gotta go help get started, and then it'll start over. Is that a weak motor, or is it lubrication I can turn on the truck?
It could be a weak motor. That's something that we almost need to do an amp draw on to see what kind of amps the motor's pulling. When I see when it starts good and it starts getting slower and slower and slower, it could be a motor, it could be a ground. The amp draw tells you a lot, because if the amp draw is good, it's a motor. If the amp draw is not good, then we got to find out, then it's our power supply. So I need a little more information. But yeah, there's something that needs to be investigated, yes.
On the landing gear, the front
Mm-hmm.
mine, when I retract them, they get god awful low. They mow, they go up.
How?
Give us a sound.
Yeah, so is there some,
Yeah, again, WD-40 on a rag. Yep, because like I said, that has a double lip seal. The bottom seal is rubber. The one above it is like a Teflon thing, and that's probably where the noise is coming from.
well, it does make a retracting, when I put them down, they don't make
Yep. But yeah, I would lube them up.
With what?
WD-40, something light.
Caterpillar makes an additive
No, because HWH had the same issue, and they come out with the similar stuff that they were putting in the fluid that helped it. But most of the time, when we have at the shop, we can stop it immediately by just wiping it down. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Back to the roof and the back door, is there a certain amount of time where you need to pull it all back off and go over, or only if you have a problem?
When the die-core starts peeling, when it starts lifting, you'll be able to tell. It'll literally start lifting up. Then it's time to start scraping. But only scrape what will come up. I mean, you got to be careful because that Bright Tech and some of you that's got rubber roofs, you can go into it. We use what's called a plastic putty stick, and we just get the loose and the big stuff off. Yeah, you'll probably have to hit it twice because I always tell the guys, I said, hit the seam and then hit both sides of it. In other words, where you're putting it down on the one side of the molding, put you down and then let it, give it a half hour, let it smooth out, and then come back over it.
Jim, on the, to go back to the awnings,
Mm-hmm.
there's these little plastic pieces that seem to keep the things aligned.
Mm-hmm.
They're like little, is there a way to get additional ones? Because we're missing about half of those.
You mean it holds the fabric centered in there? Or wait.
No, this is in the arm itself.
In the C channel, there's a plastic cap that snaps in and out.
Oh, the wire covers.
Covers the wire.
Yeah.
No, not even the wire cover. This is just a little, it looks like a little washer.
Like a bushing?
It's like a little bushing, yes.
And they're falling out?
I've lost about half of them. Because they're like a little C and they can snap out.
I guess I've never seen that.
If you stop by my coach, I'll show you.
Okay. Yeah, because like I said, that most of that should be a Teflon bushing all the way around. But you're saying they fall out.
Yeah, they're like little C's and they fall out.
Huh.
We have something fall out of ours too. We don't
The
know what
wire
it is.
covers.
It's a big plastic piece.
Yeah, the wire covers. Well,
We don't know where to put it back.
yeah. Well, actually, but if you look on the outer one that comes out on the inside, there's a little track that it snaps into. What we do is we'll take and we'll put silicone on each side of it and put it in there, let that silicone set up, and won't come out no more.
Jim,
Yeah.
Hearing on the system, the amount of cameras that are already on,
Mhm.
there any more cameras added to it?
You got a total of 4
Right. So the front door, 2 sides,
in the back.
and the rear, right?
Yep.
I wanted to put one in the toy box to see the motorcycles that are going down the road on the same screen.
I don't know that they split. All that shows up's 4, so I don't think there is. It'd be something, the only thing I could think of would be no, because you only pair 4, so you couldn't pair 5. Because I was thinking of some way maybe to take that door one and be able to rotate it back and forth, but now that wouldn't work.
You gotta have your security light on. We do anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
On our 17 Luxe, we've got a ceiling light over the sink. It's on or off. Is there any way to convert that to a dimmable?
Is it a regular bulb or fluorescent?
It's an LED.
Oh, it is an LED?
Yeah.
It's on a switch now?
It's on, yeah.
On-off switch?
It's on that.
If it's on an on-off switch, I'm going to say you should be able to. There is some LEDs that don't like it. And you can tell when you try to dim them down, it starts flashing. As long as it ain't, I mean,
The rest of the coach has got dimmable lights in several places. That's one of the few ones that's not dimmable, one that's all controlled by the big master panel.
like I said, it's possible, but you'd have to just hook it to a dimmer and see and turn it down. Like I said, you can tell, because if it's one of them that's not dimmable and you try to turn it down, instead of the light going down, the light starts flashing. And that's when you know it's not dimmable at that point.
On or off, there's nothing you can change on any of the wall switches.
Mm.
Oh, I got a question.
Yeah.
When we had our toy hauler in the shop last year,
Mhm.
November, whatever, when you were working on it, when you installed the in command back on there,
Mhm.
you put the generic one on and not for the 48 FB. whatever it is, so now everything's generic, so I have to, I mean, I know now it is, but like I got 10 slide outs. 1, 2, 3, 4, it doesn't say bedroom kit like it used to. And I don't have that
We
anymore.
lost the custom program
Yeah.
for the
It's
rig.
no longer, yeah.
That can be put back into the touchpad. In the bottom of your touchpad, there's a USB thing. I just need to get the program from the guys and put it in there, and we can put that program right back in there.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, because we can go all the way back to when it was what it was before, and we have that program and just download it back in there.
Okay.
So yes, we can put that back. Yeah, so that way you don't have 10 slide outs, 5 awnings, and
I know,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. What happened,
And some of the lights aren't even controllable.
right, and it was 3
Oh,
AC,
really?
so I'm thinking the last AC is the back. We had our grandkids, so I'm thinking I'm giving them AC back there.
Yep.
And I'm really not, because it wasn't connected.
That's
I don't
manual.
know. Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
that can be done.
Do you have any caps for the privacy screens, the caps that go on the ends of the tube? I need a black one.
We got a junk box. There's a 50-50 chance there's one in there.
Okay, so today, when it started getting real windy and right before it started raining real hard and everything, we were inside of our Ambition and our kitchen slide started pushing in and because of the heavy wind.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you prevent something like that happening? We went ahead and pulled it in. We were at home, but what happens if you're like not at home and you
Well-
know that this is happening?
Well, we had 45 to 50 mile an hour winds earlier. So with a slide out, you ain't going to avoid that. The way to stop it, pull the rooms in.
Okay, that's what we did. But
Yeah.
I was just wondering, because we've never had that. We've been in winds before, but never had a cushion.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had a good windstorm come through. Yes.
We were 21, 44 ourselves. You have to know the light open door, the bright white light, wires are the same as the blue lights underneath.
The blue lights underneath that are above your jacks,
Yes.
no, they're not wired the same.
So when I turn that on, they both come on. I like them to be separate.
What year's your coach?
21.
21?
44. Mine's the same way. So the
Really?
You know, are those wires all run back to the main command, or they run in series?
No, they all run to the big black box that's in your pass-through. All them wires run through there.
So theoretically, it could just be a matter of
Moving it to a different light group, yeah. So in other words, you turn the exterior lights on, it turns that one plus the 4 around the jacks.
but yeah, not all the exterior lights, just
Right, yeah.
is tied to blue.
There's 2 blue lights right on the side of the steps that come down on the side, steel with it in.
Right, yep.
Those come on, and all the gun lights come on when you turn the porch light on. Now, if you turn the security light on, it just comes on itself.
Right. Okay. It's not the way it was explained to me, but okay. All right, any more questions? Yeah.
Water, something behind there. One's bright blue, the next one is all.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get that size?
It should be a 48-inch, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you get the light, you also want to replace that track too, where it goes into. Yeah. Yep. Yes.
We have a strip of blue light across the back of ours. And we've tried every switch in the world to turn that on. We find it there, it's not connected to anything. Can you tell us where we should connect it?
And where's this at?
It's
On the back cap. The upper light?
It's like the blue one across the front.
Ours is the same way, it's not connected.
And it's not connected to anything.
Turn your parking lights on, Bill.
Yep.
Yeah, we got 17 as well.
Yeah, turn your parking lights on.
Turn your parking lights on.
So the parking lights on, the red light on.
It's like, it's possibly a brake light or a marker light.
It's a marker light. Just pull your parking lights on.
That are, there's also back then, I've seen them also being a brake light. When you hook to your truck, hit your foot brake, make your brake lights come on and see if it comes on. That's really that. If it's red, that's what it should be doing. Should be like a third brake light.
Mine just went off. It doesn't do right. I mean, it's just the same as the marker light.
Yeah.
It's a running line.
Yeah.
Yes.
The new ones, yes, but the 17, that I think that's a brake light.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any questions? All righty.